focus to improve your performance. My name is Guilherme and I'm a project management expert. I help professionals to become successful project managers. How I do that? It can be in several different ways, from mentoring programs where I help to guide people's career, giving feedback, helping them to develop skills, preparing for meetings, preparing for interviews, to a development program where I teach them the fundamental knowledge of the project management, give exercise so people can practice and develop their skills there. So before I forget, make sure you like and share this video here because if you do that, you help the social media to deliver this to more people and more people can learn project management. And also you help me to understand the value that this video has there for you. So the topic I'm going to talk about today, it's a very important one because nowadays, like burnout issues, that's something that you hear a lot. Make sure that you are taking care of your mental health and so on. And this topic is completely related with that. What I see in practice, and honestly, that's also what happened with me in the past, in early stage of my career. I was facing a challenge. I was working with a big project, managing a big project, and I want to deliver more. Or I want to deliver better results, or I need to meet the timeline. And the way I was trying to do that was basically working more. Working more meaning I was having working longer hours per day instead of working 8 hours. I would work 9, sometimes 10. Work on Saturdays, work on the weekends, work in the night or during the evenings. And why I'm saying that? So that's something that happened a lot, and I've seen a lot of project managers doing that, and I've seen a lot of project managers end up in a bad situation. So let me take a different approach how to explain to you how you can improve your performance. First of all, if you are looking for your capacity, here I have, of course, an example, a production capacity that you are going to look for in a manufacturing site, or if you have a process or a system, that's how you can approach a capacity. Basically, capacity is related with availability, meaning the number of hours that you have to work, performance, meaning if your machine is performing at 100% of its capacity. If we are talking about yourself, of course, what's your performance? It's basically if you are able to perform if you are able to give 100% of your capacity, meaning that you can perform at your best state, at your best for something. For example, some days, let's suppose that you have a really bad night of sleep, that you have a cold, then you have a headache. Likely, this is not a day that you are going to be able to reach 100% of your performance. Some activities, so your brain power is kind of reduced, and then of course that will impact in the total outcome that you can have in one day. So even though if you work the same 8 hours, you are going to produce less that you would produce if you are in 100% of your state. That's what performance is about. The next one is quality. Well, if you are executing a work, you have a quality of work that you are doing. If you have to do a lot of rework, because for example, if you have a bad, usually you have a problem with your performance in the type of work that we do, that's a knowledge work. Commonly, that you also end up having a quality issue, meaning that you have a lot of rework, you make mistakes. With not that's a problem making mistakes, but ideally you want to some types of mistakes, of course, you want to avoid. Why? Because if you need to rework something like reworking a presentation, reworking a business case because the formula is wrong, it's just consuming your time. So, and then it's avoiding that you can produce more. And if you look for a system, of course, you have a bottleneck. And if you look for a manufacturing line, you have a bottleneck. In the case you are looking for yourself, uh, looking for that bottleneck does not make sense. But why this is important? So, say I have a big project, or I'm trying to deliver more value. I'm trying to meet a timeline. So basically, you have three options there. The most common one that I already mentioned is people trying to working extra hours, meaning that they are working on their availability. So they're putting more time and they're expecting that they are going to have more capacity. That means they are going to be able to produce more and deliver more outcomes. What happens if the only way that you can look there is looking into your time there, your availability? The first problem is time is the most scarce resource that we have around the world that you might not realize it, but everyone have exactly the same amount of time per day, 24 hours, and that you can nothing that you can do on that. and you cannot buy time back. So if you wasted your time or if something happened, you lose your time, you can never compensate, you can never buy this time back. Does not matter how rich you are. So that's why time is one of the most scarce, or can be seen as the most scarce resource around the world. Although it's free, and so people do not realize it, that, or some people don't think about it. But if you're wasting your time, you're never going to be able to get it back. That's important for you to understand. And what's the second point here when you talk about working more? So time is very limited. You always have the 24 hours per day that you cannot do anything more than that. And of course, from the 24 hours per day, you cannot ever work the 24 hours. You need to eat, you need to take a shower, you need to sleep, and you need to do all the other stuff in your life. The problem is if you're trying to increase your capacity, only increasing your time, or increasing your delivery, only increasing your time, what happens? In the long run, if you start work extra every day and you do it for a long period of time, so that's what you're trying to do. I'm not when I'm talking about working extra, I'm not saying that in one day you do one or you do a couple of extra hours to deliver something. It's not that I'm referring to, but it's trying to work consistent. You're working consistently extra hours every day, every week, every month. What happens in the long run? You start to get more tired. You start to get more stressed out. And what happens if you do that? Well, if you do that, usually your performance tends to go down. So you're not going to be able to be the sharpest that you can be, which also ends up affecting the quality of your work. So you are making more mistakes and you have more rework to do. So in the end, what you are doing by working extra hours is reducing your capacity. Because again, I'm not talking about of working one or other day, a couple of hours extra. I'm talking about trying to do that in a consistent way. So this is a problem because working more in the long run will just reduce the capacity. So it will just reduce your delivery, will just reduce the quality of your outcome there. So, and that problem is kind of aggravated by two things that you have there. It's first is a lack of priority, meaning that I've seen people with big lists of to do things in a project, and that's how it's like that. By the way, if you're the project manager, depending on the size of project that you're going to manage, you can end up with a list of hundreds of items that you're trying to do it. And I've seen people trying to tackle everything, so they do it. They try to do all the tasks themselves. What ends? Then, of course, you don't have enough time to do everything. Everyone has the same limited amount of time, so you start to work extra to execute those tasks. So there's a big to-do list and a kind of in a lack of prioritization, which kinds of impacting what you are doing. So again, you are trying to work more with extra time, more availability there to compensate something that you could improve with your performance, for example, with a better prioritization there. And there's the second problem because of you can call it poor leadership or less mature leadership styles or less experience in leadership, unprepared leadership, or whatever you want to call it. I don't want to put in a bad way because again, I did that in myself in the early stage of my career because you don't have the experience there. What you do is you see your team working, then you want to push people to get to a result, and you kind of you do not understand what's the better way to interact with your team, so you end up or either telling them what to do exactly something and you don't get the results that you want, or and so you are over concerned what's happening there, so you end up with more tasks anyway, or you try to do the tasks for your team, which end up again it increases your to-do list. So it kind of enters in a vicious cycle there. And of course, in the long run, I already mentioned what's going to happen with your work, but I'm not even talking about if you're always working extra, probably you're compromising your relationships, your personal life, your health, and you're creating more stress, and you in some situations you drive yourself to a burnout there. So what can you do to avoid those things, or what can you do to improve the scenario there? If you want to keep the availability fixed because you don't want to work much more hours, you need to work on your performance. And of course, your performance is, I mentioned, as delivering 100% of what you can deliver. But what happens if you improve your skills, if you improve your knowledge, what you can deliver also increases. So you increase your capacity, so you increase your delivery, you increase your outcomes, you increase your capacity by improving your performance. And if you have a better performance, that also tends to increase the quality of what you are doing. So you kind of reduce the amount of rework. So you can do more in the same amount of time. And why I'm presenting the production capacity model? Because this makes very easy to see, or it should be very straightforward because it works exactly with a system, it works exactly with a machine. Of course, when we are talking about you, we are talking about people, we are not machines. But what can you do to improve your performance and why this is so important? And here, if you have been following me for a while, I want to bring a quote. Yes, it could not be different. I want to bring a quote here from Abraham Lincoln, and probably you might have heard it, that he says that if he give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I will spend the first 4 hours sharpening the axe. What does it mean by that? Well, if you try to cut a tree, but you have a blind axe, that will require much more effort, much more energy, and means that likely you cannot reach it because your tool is not sharp enough. How does it relate it? Yeah, that's exactly the same thing I'm mentioning here about your capacity. So working more, it will not help you to chop down the tree. You need to make sure your performance, or in this case your X, it's very sharp. And better your tool, better the X that more sharpened that your X will be, better will be your performance. So the first step that you can take to start to improve it, you need to start to develop your knowledge. And of course, develop your knowledge can be very broad. What can you do there to further develop your knowledge? You can read books. You can read books about leadership. You can read books about finance, about investments, project management, business, successful type of companies, strategy, and so on. All those kind of things. And of course, when I'm talking reading a book, it's reflecting on that, not just going very fast page by page because that does not work to help you to improve so your knowledge. Why? Because the knowledge that you're going to have will work as a base for you to start to develop a skill. Because once you know something, even though just be the knowledge, you say, I have the knowledge there, but I've never done that in real practice. But you can try to do it. What happens if you don't know? You're not going to try to do it anyway. So this is a very important step. And like if you're trying to drive a car, say I want to drive a car. Let's say that driving a car is the skill that you want to build, but you don't know about the gears. You don't know how to turn in the car. That's the basic knowledge that you need to drive a car. You're not going to be able to develop these skills. So it works exactly the same way. You need to have at least the fundamental knowledge to try to exercise the skill. How to do that? Books, trainings, seminars, listening to podcasts, watching a video on YouTube like this one, or YouTube or whatever you're watching this, it helps you to develop your knowledge, to helps you to give an idea. So different ways also what's also important because I've seen a lot of people working and I get in contact with a lot of people. It's important that you also don't over focus in your company because a lot of people they get uh, so focused in the company they are working on that they forget the external world, which I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, but you can learn from other people's experience to make your journey easier there. So you learn what your competitors are doing, what they are doing in other industries that will provide you different type of knowledge, different type of insights in how you can improve your performance. That's why I always participate in trainings, conferences, seminars, listening to podcasts, having a mentor. That's how those things can be very helpful to improve your performance there. So here's key to make sure that you continue to develop yourself because again, and I can give you an example for the business case. If you've never seen a business case in your life and I ask you to build a business case, you're not going to be able to do it. Or you're going to waste a lot of hours trying to struggle with something that you could acquire with a very small type of small training for a few hours that would improve you in the next 5 or 10 years to save much more time there. So there's a way to do that, and I see a lot of people say, "I'm too busy. I don't have time to stop to study. I'm too busy. I do not have time to go for trainings. I do not." But then that's why I brought a quote from Abraham Lincoln. If you're too busy, that means your ex there it's kind of getting blind, and you are trying to cut a tree. And you keep knocking, keep knocking, keep knocking. More you do it, more effort you put it, more stress out that you get, more you consume from your energy, and less results that you tend to get in the long term because you need those stops to improve your performance there. So this is a very critical step in everything that you are doing there. Second point, prioritization. What I mentioned here that people end up with huge to-do lists, but they kind of do not understand the prioritization. So to talk about prioritization, I need to present you a model that I created to try to convey the message here why this is so important. You only can work with a proper decision making and proper prioritization if you understand that you need to work on the pillars or in the fundamentals of project management, meaning schedule management, cost management, scope and change management, stakeholder management, and risk management. Why this is so important? Because if you do not understand those dimensions in your project, you're not going to be able to prioritize. So you get 5 tasks to do it. Which one you are going to do it? You don't know because you don't know the impact. Maybe one of the tasks is in the critical path, so that's the first priority. Maybe one of the tasks has a big impact in the business case, that might be the first priority. One of the tasks has a big impact in a customer, for example, that might be your first priority. You need to understand all those dimensions here for your project to make sure that it can work. And I get this type of question quite often. People ask me, "What's the first thing that I should do? Should I prioritize the customer, or should I prioritize internal stakeholders? Should I prioritize my timeline, or should I prioritize my business case?" In reality, there's no uh, a ready answer for a project. Why? Because in different situations, you are going to need to have different types of reaction. Because those pillars here, they continue to change for a project for all the projects, and they are going to fluctuate. Sometimes, some sometimes the most important thing will be to do something for the customer. Another time will be more important to make sure that you mitigate the risk. So those are going to kind of fluctuate. They are going to change across your project. And if you do not know that, if you do not understand what those things, it's kind of impossible to know what's going to be your first priority. And here's the second part of the challenge. You can only do that if you have these kind of things part of your project management routine. Because what I already mentioned to you, those things will change and will fluctuate during the project. And if you do not know the status where you are, it's going to be very difficult for you to prioritize and to make decisions. So this is the very first piece as a fundamental thing that you need to do there. And to help you to move forward, I also want to give you a productivity tip here because that can be quite important for you. For example, here, I talk about tasks. There are different types of tasks. Ones that I'm calling here production tasks. Those are the tasks that will help you to progress to our goal. And you also have tasks that are called occupation tasks. That tasks that you need to do it, that they take your time, so they are going to reduce your capacity, but you need to do anyway. Examples: cleaning the house, taking out the trash, watching TV, or you need to do it, or you want to do it, watching TV, talking to a friend, making a call, some types of meetings, and so on. What it, why I'm saying that? Because depending on the type of task that you're filling up your day, it's you end up with a big list, and you're never going to have enough time to do it. So what's important that you understand Pareto principle here, that 20% of the cause create 80% of the consequence, or 20% of the inputs will create 80% of the outcomes there. So you need to focus, instead of focusing this very big to-do list, you need to focus on the few tasks that are going to bring you most of the results. But how do you select those tasks? Exercising the project management fundamentals. So let's say that you're exercising the project management fundamentals. What do you need to do it? And that's the two that I want to mention you to here. What I do, and what I do recommend you to do, is to make sure that you have a daily review, what I call it daily review. And by the way, I've learned those things in different type of productivity trainings that I did in my life there. So I'm not reinventing the wheel, and this is only part of the tool. But it's what's very important here. So you have a date, of course. That's why you have a date. So, in the end of your day, you select three things to be grateful. Why? Because the three things to be grateful remind you from the mindset. And to be grateful, you don't need to look for big things. You can be grateful because you have a job. You can be grateful because you have a family. You can be grateful because you have food. You can be grateful because you have house. You can be grateful because you have healthy. So every day you have a lot of things that we take for granted, but we need to be grateful for. Why? Because it helps you to put in the right state of the mind, in the right state of mindset that will help you to progress things. And the mindset, you might have heard me saying that, will influence a lot your results. And if you do that every day, that will help you to going forward. So what I do every day, I write down those three things that I'm grateful for, and then I write down what I must do in the next day. What are the critical tasks that I need to do in the next day? Five. I'm not saying we end up to 10 items. Why? Because if you end up in the 10 items, if you say I want to end up with 10 items, first, might be there's a chance that you are not understanding your priority, or might be the chance that you're going to want to work extra to complete those 10 items. And some tasks will not matter if you complete these today, tomorrow, or the day after tomorrow. How you're going to come up with those tasks for your project? Well, you need to be exercising the project management fundamentals. And then you're going to plan accordingly. So you plan here the five tasks that you want to do it. One day after, at least, you can also plan overhead, can also have a review for the week, so on. But right now, I just want to present a basic tool. And in the other day, you already start off the day with clarity in the five items that you must complete it. And of course, what you can do, you plan the time to do that. And what's important while you're using this tool? It's important that, first of all, you have the time, because if you have a day that you have back to back meetings from 8 o'clock to 6 p.m., you're not going to have time to execute those tasks. So, or you can put those meetings that must do during the day. But it's important that you manage these, because also helps you to manage your expectation. So I do it in the evening, in the day before. So in the next day, what I do, I check it what I could do it. If the things that I did it, I mark as done. The things I need to do it, or either I plan for the next day, or something happened, I put that back in a backlog that I have. Then I give a score for my day. Say, okay, this day was a nice day. My score 7 or 8. You can write down maybe a reason. Write down again the stuff that I'm grateful, and I plan the next day. And I do it every single day. Of course, I do not plan it like that for Saturdays and Sundays. Why? Because this is kind of time that I want to have with my family, and I want to do any other stuff. But even on Saturday or Sunday, I write down things I'm grateful for. So I do have a notebook where I do that every day, and that helps me to bring clarity in, first of all, what do I need to do, so I don't start the day thinking, okay, what should I do today? I already have it. Not saying that nobody's perfect. That's so sometimes I put few five things that I need to do it. I end up not being able to do the five things. Sometimes something happen. I need to do other things, and I write down what I did. But this is very important. So this is a basic, the minimum basic planning that you need to have there. Because if you start the day not knowing what you need to do, there's a big chance that your day also will going to end up with a lot of occupation tasks that will not help you to progress. So I plan in here, I want to study. I plan it here. I have this meeting that I need to attend. I plan it here. I have a very important thing like I need to review my timeline for the project, blah blah blah, and I put it here. And I have blocks in my agenda that are already reserved to execute my tasks. So it helps me to be more productive. So the thing, this tool I'm sharing here is to help you to improve your performance. Again, we want to keep the availability exactly the same. We don't want to work more hours. We want to improve our performance here. So what did I already give you? Two very important tips in how to improve your performance here. The first one is make sure that you keep developing your knowledge and your skills because that will make you sure that you can develop more stuff. I already mentioned few things that you can do. And the second one, it's very important that you manage properly your priorities. And I explained to you how to manage the priorities. Make sure that you are following you are looking into the Pareto principle, that you execute, that you understand your priorities, you executing the right project management foundations, and then you plan that daily what you're going to do that to make sure you follow through it. We are not looking for perfection. We are just looking to make sure that you have the right clarity to execute the tasks and progress in your right way there, because that will help you to have better results. And the last thing that I want to mention here to make sure that you can improve and you don't need to keep working hours is simplicity. And why I'm saying simplicity here, so I'm going to bring something from the Agile Manifesto here because I think it's very well reflected. The Agile Manifesto says that simplicity is the art of maximizing the amount of work not done. And this is essential. What does it mean? Our companies, our processes, everything that we do includes waste. That's simply a fact. That's unavoidable. I have waste in my time. You have waste in your time, and everybody else in the world have waste in their times. Which in the end, what waste means? You are going to impact your availability because from 8 hours, you can never work the full 8 hours 100%. You are going to have breaks. You go to the bathroom. You stop to take a drink water and other stuff that will affect your availability. And but also in your process, you are going to find sources of waste, meaning some bureaucracy steps that you don't need to take it, meaning sometimes extra meetings that you don't need to have, that they do not have a clear agenda or clear purpose there. What do you want to do that? I want to identify my process. So one of the ways that you can use to identify your process, you can start value stream mapping your process, or you can use the Kanban method. That's basically you go step by step in how the work flows in your day to day, because then you visualize the work that you need to do it, which helps to build transparency. But also, what is important here, it helps you to identify waste. So, what if you identify a lot of waste there? What you're going to do? You're going to eliminate waste, because if you find ways to eliminate waste that you have in your process, in your system, in your activities that you're doing there, what you can do there? If you reduce waste, you gain more time, you gain more availability, which improves your capacity. So, all those things focusing there to make sure that you make the best use of the time that you have instead of just working with something, or instead of just trying to execute everything working extra hours, which in the long run will just impact your capacity, will just decrease your capacity here. So it's very important that you understand this basic model here, because of course, if you understand that you are going to use in the system that you're working on, when I'm talking about system, it's you can see the system as a company or a multidisciplinary team. It's going to work for a manufacturing line. It's going to work for services, and it works for your own time. So stop focusing on increasing your availability. Start focusing in how you can increase your performance, or you also can look for different ways how you can improve the quality of the work that you are doing. All those things will help you to deliver more value, better outcomes, instead of just working extra, which in the end will just impact your performance in the long run. Don't forget to like and share this video here, because that will help to reach more people, and more people will understand that they do not need to work more, but they need to work more in a more effective and more efficient way. If you have questions, you can make sure you can ask here in the comments. Don't forget to follow me. Every week there's more content on my YouTube channel, but also there's there's more content on my Instagram, where I share also those types of graph, where I have a Q&A box that's open for questions there. Because if your goal is to develop your project management skills, my goal is to support you in that journey. Thank you and see you soon. Bye.